Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny had a lot of chances thrown towards it. It had a $300 million plus budget, had Harrison Ford playing Indy again, and they had 5 whole days for box office numbers to rack up, but it still is a failure. And now we've got the box office numbers, and it paints a dismal picture for Lucasfilms. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So of course, I have been following Dial of Destiny over the past few days, and while I was not impressed with it personally, I figured it would at least do okay at the box office simply because they do have a 5-day weekend that they were boasting about, but it actually opened worse than The Flash. It says, as expected, the Indiana Jones 5 box office massively bombs with it learned it's so bad it's actually worse than The Flash. The worldwide box office for Dial of Destiny opened with $130 million, which was beaten out by The Flash's $139 million. Now, it is important to point out that these did have slightly different budgets. We know that The Flash was above $250 million, but we also know that Indiana Jones was above $300 million. It's rumored that, now after marketing and after everything has been retallied, it's around $350, which is an insane amount of money. But that just means that they have such a larger, gap to fill. They have to make such a massive more amount of money than even The Flash did, and The Flash isn't even making the funds that they needed it to. And looking at, what Deadline said, on the bright side for Independence Day bomb Dial of Destiny, its first 5 days at the box office of $82 million aren't as bad as Terminator Genesis, which is just such a low bar to surpass. It says that sequel's launch just prior to July 4th in 2015 left a lot of methane in the air with 42 million in its Wednesday to Sunday open total. The attempted Arnold comeback movie ended its domestic run at 89.7 million. Dial of Destiny will cross that mark before its first week is up, yes, but not by much, and at this point there is no way that this film is going to make the money that it needs. It likely won't break even on this $350 million budget. So that means that Kathleen Kennedy has overseen the destruction of all 3 major Lucasfilm franchises: Star Wars, Willow, and Indiana Jones. Do I think that they will get rid of her anytime soon? No. I know everyone's been talking about the rumors over the past few years. I don't think that they're getting rid of her. I think that she is still part of several upcoming projects, and putting someone new in her position now would be a giant leadership shift, but obviously I don't think they're looking at her record and viewing it positively, because we knew with Indiana Jones they really wanted it to make money. I mean, they had been promoting it much longer than they would have for, an average film. They really have been pushing it for months at this point, that it was going to be this massive experience, that they were so excited for it, they were feeling confident in it, and now we can see it absolutely flopped. And to add to all of this, we already know Disney is down for the year. According to financial analysts, they've lost roughly $900 million at the box office on projects in just the past 12 months alone, with things like Elemental, Strange Worlds, and Little Mermaid. The loss on this will put the figure well into the $1 billion range, and it just shows the continued downward spiral of Disney and their content. They keep giving us stories no one likes, and they keep making changes no one wants, because if they were creating good content, people would be showing up and they wouldn't be losing so much money. And the 130 that I referenced was, of course, worldwide numbers, but just looking domestically, it only cracked the $82 million mark. It says it is staying in line with some tempered box office expectations, still tracking to fall in line with estimates that had pegged the film with an opening between 80 and 85 million through the 4th of July holiday. But you have to keep in mind that even these numbers were extremely lowered. Originally, like 2 to 2.5 months ago, they thought that domestically this movie was going to open to like 150 million, which was a lot of money, and then they lowered it to around 120, and then they lowered it to 100, and then only probably 3 or 4 days before launch, we got this 80 to 85 million range. So originally, they thought that this was going to make a significantly higher amount of cash, and it just isn't. It says Indiana Jones 5 needs all the lift it can get, and 82 million gross through the first 5 days of release shouldn't be shabby for a legacy sequel from a more than 40-year-old franchise, but Dial of Destiny is one of the most expensive films ever produced by Disney and Lucasfilm. The finale carries a production budget of 295 million. This number is kind of outdated though. This isn't the number that we have been hearing for the past like 2.5 weeks. So in my opinion, it seems like Variety is giving us the lowered number in order to make it sound a little bit better for Disney and Lucasfilm. But it says along with an underwhelming debut overseas and upcoming July releases like Oppenheimer and Mission Impossible 7, that also look to target older viewers, things aren't looking bright for Indiana Jones. Yeah, this is another issue that it faces, is that it's got like a solid 2 weeks from initial release to make a lot of cash, but after that, there's going to be very significant competition. I know I am more excited for Oppenheimer than I am for Mission Impossible 7, or even, more excited than I was for something like Dial of Destiny, because I knew that they were going to ruin Dial of Destiny. I've been reading the leaks and the rumors, and I just had this bad feeling about the movie. And yeah, I mean, if I hadn't already seen Dial of Destiny within those first 2 weeks, there's no way I would choose seeing that over something, again, like Oppenheimer or MI7. And even audiences and critics aren't too thrilled about it. Now, I will say, as I have said anytime that I've talked about these user scores and even the critic scores, is that this movie only did just come out, and of course, opening weekend, most people who are going to go and see a film like this are going to be people with a lot of nostalgia, so people that are going to be a little bit easier on it, but even the critics didn't like it. It's sitting at a 69 all critic and a 58 top critic, verified audience 88, and an all audience at an 81. I definitely think that the 81 is generous. I did not think this movie was that good, but at the same time, I do think that this is going to drop. I think it'll end up teetering around like a 75%, just because, again, a lot of people with nostalgia are really raising these scores, but I do think that they are going to drop, just like the box office numbers, right? It didn't start strong, and I don't see it, consistently earning money over the next, say, month. I do think that it is definitely going to drop off of a cliff going to even week 2, and then of course at the week 3 mark they are going to be facing some major competition with this film. But yes, Dial of Destiny is not doing good for Disney and Lucasfilm, and it actually bombed worse than The Flash. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.